The First World War. It was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Instead, it became one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, reshaping the global landscape and leaving an indelible scar on the 20th century. In the summer of 1914, Europe was a powder keg of tensions. Nationalism, imperial ambitions, and complex alliances had been building for decades. One spark would ignite this volatile mix. That spark came on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary, backed by Germany, declared war on Serbia. Alliances quickly kicked into action, pulling in major powers across Europe. Within weeks, the world was plunged into a global conflict. On one side, the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. On the other, the Allies, France, Russia, Britain, and eventually many others, including the United States. The war on the Western Front became a brutal stalemate. Soldiers dug deep into trenches, stretching from the English Channel to the Swiss border. Here, life was defined by mud, disease, and constant shell fire. Day after day, men lived in these trenches, waiting for the next attack or bombardment. The scale of the suffering was unimaginable. By the end of the war, millions would lose their lives on these battlefields, often for gains measured in mere yards. This was a new kind of warfare, industrial warfare. Modern weapons like machine guns, tanks, and artillery transformed the battlefield. Poison gas, first used by the Germans in 1915, added a terrifying new dimension to combat. But the First World War was not just a European conflict. It was a truly global war. Empires called on their colonies for manpower and resources. From Africa to India, soldiers and laborers were recruited to fight in faraway lands. The conflict also spread to the Middle East, Asia, and even the seas, with naval battles and unrestricted submarine warfare. By 1917, the war had dragged on for 3 long years. Russia was on the brink of revolution, and Germany's aggressive submarine campaign brought the United States into the conflict. The arrival of fresh American troops in 1918 helped tip the balance in favor of the Allies. On November 11, 1918, an armistice was signed, and the guns finally fell silent. After 4 years of unimaginable destruction, the war was over. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles officially ended the war. Germany was blamed for the conflict and forced to pay heavy reparations. The map of Europe was redrawn, with new nations like Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia emerging from the ashes of old empires. But the true cost of the war could not be measured in treaties or territorial changes. Over 16 million people, soldiers and civilians, were dead. Entire cities were reduced to rubble, and a generation of young men had been lost. The First World War forever changed the world. It sowed the seeds of resentment and political upheaval, leading to the rise of fascism, totalitarianism, and ultimately the Second World War. Though over a century has passed, the lessons of the First World War still resonate today. It stands as a grim reminder of the devastation that can arise from unchecked ambition, nationalism, and the horrors of industrialized warfare. Lest we forget,